Hello, and thank you for taking a little bit of time to watch my video today on addictive drugs in developing countries. Today, I'm going to be focusing a little bit on methamphetamine, which is a highly addictive drug that's present in developing countries, particularly in Southeast Asia today. To begin, I'd like to go over a brief history of methamphetamine in developing Asia. So it was actually developed by a scientist in 1893, a Japanese scientist, and it was actually a synthetic version of a property that's found in the ephedra plant. And this plant is found in China and was used in China for the guards that were guarding the Great Wall of China. And they used this plant and the properties that it had to stay alert and to stay awake while they were guarding the country. So with this synthetic version called, in Japan, they had it in a pill form called hiropon, and they used it during World War II. A lot of factory workers used it to stay alert. They heavily produced this, distributed it to the war efforts. A lot of the frontline soldiers in Japan used this, as well as kamikaze fighters. They, on the fighter planes, during suicide missions, they would actually inject this into their bloodstream and take it orally as well. So because of its heavy usage during the war, at the end of the war, there was a big epidemic, a drug epidemic, because there was a large surplus of this methamphetamine. It was very easy to get. You didn't need to have a prescription. You could go in and get it over the counter. And there was also a black market for it, as the Japanese mafia had large quantities of it and were distributing it. And it was actually a large source of their income at the time. And because of this, in the early 1950s, there was a big drug epidemic in Japan, and many people were heavily addicted to this drug. As the country began to develop, and in the late 1950s, they actually started implementing strict rules and consequences for people that were found with this drug. And luckily, the country was able to enforce these rules that they had set in place and overcome this epidemic. So this is actually still a problem today in Southeast Asia. There's heavy usage of the methamphetamine and distribution all across Southeast Asia. So here on the screen, we see that there's a large increase between 2014 and 2018 in the seizure of methamphetamine. And unfortunately, a lot of the drug users there, according to the United Nations, the UNODC, they put out a statement that showed that in 2014, there was less than 1% of dependent drug users in Indonesia receiving treatment. And another alarming statistic is that many of the strict rules that they have in these countries for methamphetamine to try and get rid of it, to get it off the streets, there's a heavy consequence for people that are active drug users. But unfortunately, they don't have enough resources for those people to get help. And they also don't go after the people that are distributing these drugs more than they do the people that are just using the drugs that need help. So a concluding statement that I want to share with the viewers of this video before I conclude is that we really need to push for resources to be allocated, for guidance to be provided for governments to reduce penalties for the users and instead offer other treatment resources. Unfortunately, according to the United Nations, in Indonesia, they don't really have an alternative for help when they're addicted to this drug, and they end up resorting to other remedies that don't really have a proven efficiency or effectiveness. They need to focus more on the distributors of the drug. And what we can do as citizens is to continue to spread awareness on the issue. We need to push leaders and nonprofits to put this on the top of their priority, as um, it affects many lives, and it really inhibits the growth of these developing nations towards prosperity. Thank you for watching my video today.